The disappearance of reason. Imagine waking up to a world that has gone silent, not because the noise has stopped, but because the questioning has. Imagine a society so saturated with information and so addicted to speed that the human mind, once an engine of inquiry and growth, has dulled into a state of passive acceptance. What happens to a civilization when critical thinking vanishes? When the ability to reason, challenge, and reflect is replaced by instant reactions, shallow opinions, and digital echo chambers. In this exploration, we uncover the disturbing truth behind the erosion of the intellect and the rise of what philosophers call collective stupidity. This isn't a lack of intelligence. It is a phenomenon where masses of people surrender their intellectual independence to narratives they never even thought to verify. By the end, we will reveal the most urgent truth of all, one that determines whether you reclaim your mind or lose it to a system designed to keep you comfortably numb. The war on contemplation. Let's begin with an uncomfortable reality. Thinking is hard, and in the modern world, it is actively discouraged. Our environment doesn't reward the slow labor of contemplation. It rewards the lightning-fast emotional response and the comfort of conformity. This isn't accidental. From algorithms that curate your reality to educational systems that prioritize obedience over exploration, we are being conditioned away from thought. The philosopher Noam Chomsky warned of the manufacturing of consent, explaining how power structures rely on a population trained to consume without questioning. When people agree without understanding, they become easy to manage and even easier to deceive. Critical thinking is now treated as an inconvenience. It slows down the outrage, challenges the ideology, and dares to ask, is this actually true? The biology of the shortcut. How did we get here? Part of the answer is sheer exhaustion. Neuroscientists note that the average person now processes 5 times more information daily than they did a few decades ago. Our brains were not built for this relentless input. When overwhelmed, the brain takes shortcuts. It relies on cognitive biases and social proof, the psychological tendency to assume that if everyone is liking or sharing something, it must be valid. Furthermore, the decline of deep reading is rewiring our neural circuitry. We have become a culture of skimmers, jumping between tabs and headlines, losing the sustained attention required for complex analysis. As Carl Sagan famously warned, we live in a society exquisitely dependent on science and technology, yet hardly anyone understands the systems they rely on. This ignorance, paired with a fractured attention span, creates a vacuum where critical thought used to live. The emotional shield. But the problem isn't just technological, it's emotional. Critical thinking is uncomfortable because it forces us to admit we don't know everything. It triggers cognitive dissonance, where new evidence clashes with our cherished beliefs. In a culture that values identity above truth, we don't think, we defend. We retreat into our tribes and memorize slogans instead of engaging in the honest Socratic dialogue that has powered human evolution for millennia. Who benefits when you stop thinking for yourself? The answer is woven into the very fabric of our daily lives. To understand how deep this decline goes, we must look at the systems designed to suppress independent thought. John Taylor Gatto, a legendary critic of modern schooling, argued that compulsory education was modeled after the industrial age, not to create thinkers, but to produce obedient workers who follow orders and color inside the lines. Curiosity is often treated as a distraction, and conformity is rewarded with high marks. This pattern follows us into adulthood. In our workplaces and social circles, the fear of exclusion silences our doubts. As Erich Fromm observed, many people escape from freedom because true freedom requires the heavy burden of responsibility. Thinking for yourself means you can no longer blame the crowd for your ignorance. For many, the comfort of the herd is a safer choice than the uncertainty of the truth. The architecture of control. Social media has transformed this psychological tendency into a digital weapon. Platforms are engineered to bypass your reason and trigger your emotions. In the age of misinformation, being viral is more valuable than being right. This is the tyranny of the majority in a cognitive form. We judge the merit of an idea by its engagement metrics rather than its logic. But the most insidious reason critical thinking is disappearing is that we are afraid of what it might reveal. To think critically is to risk your psychological safety, your tribe, your identity, and your certainty. People have become so fused with their ideologies that a challenge to an idea feels like a personal attack. But you must remember, you are not your beliefs. You are a human being with the capacity to evolve. The revolutionary act of thinking. Critical thinking is more than an intellectual skill. It is a spiritual act of rebellion. It is the decision to honor truth over comfort. As Carl Jung noted, people will do anything to avoid facing their own souls, yet questioning your own motives and inherited biases is the very essence of wisdom. In a world addicted to quick answers and loud opinions, the most powerful thing you can do is slow down. Practice metacognition. Think about why you are thinking what you're thinking. Seek out opposing views, not to defeat them, but to understand them. Reclaim the inner dialogue that we have outsourced to algorithms. The final truth. The rise of collective stupidity is a symptom of a world too distracted to look inward. But every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose clarity over convenience, you break the cycle. You stop being a puppet of the system and start becoming the architect of your own mind. The world doesn't need more noise or sharper arguments. It needs deeper minds. It needs people who are willing to sit in complexity and say, I don't know yet, but I will find out. The responsibility to reclaim your intellect belongs to you alone. No algorithm will do it for you. The journey of awakening begins with a single, honest question. Let the others sleepwalk through their screens. You are awake now, and once you truly begin to think, you can never go back. Stay curious, stay awake, and above all, keep thinking.